want to know lang why this was not included among your proposals, because I think we've been trying to put a cap on and we've been trying to tighten regulation of campaign financing.
But
you know
not
naman
part of our proposal?
Kasama ba yun sa proposal?
Sa amin galing yan.
Sa kanila galing. In fact, this is just a rehash of...
Ang nagre-resist talaga, it has to be passed by Congress. No?
Yes.
Of course, they're not going to kill themselves.
Yeah, in fact, the first thing that they did yesterday was to go against
I remember na yung campaign finance has been proposed by Speaker De Venecia for the longest time when he was Speaker.
You want to go as far as that part, no? The passing of the party list law actually started as a very comprehensive formulation, no? And they chopped it and resulted to the kind of party list law that we have right now. Now, I forgot which Congress that was, but the House, when Sani Angara was still a member of the House of Representatives, they passed the Political Party Development Act. But it was killed in the Senate, and I know exactly how it was killed. There was a public hearing, and then suddenly the public hearing on the Political Party Reform Bill was stopped, and they showed a video on the environment. So suddenly it's the Environment Committee. So there was a mysterious call in the Senate that's Panahon ni Pinoy that suddenly killed it. No? So that's the story there. So in other words, there's been efforts from the very start, you're right, to reform it. Now, in the Consultative Committee, that was one of those important measures that we right then and there started to discuss. To be fair with the previous Congress, except for the anti-political dynasty and the term limits and, of course, the creation of the federated region, which is now reformulated to just an RDC. They were very supportive of it, no? At least as far as Congress.
In principle?
No.
They voted.
The previous Congress adopted it hook, line, and sinker. No, so in other words, I think there's some meaningful support, no, as far as the House is concerned. And again, this was it was already passed. The Political Party Development Act was passed by the House before. It was the Senate that didn't want to play ball. Yeah,
but the situation is kind of different now. You now have, just after the elections, as we talked about it after the elections, the Number One Chiefs edition. The context is very different now. You have a greater consensus in the Senate. You have, you need 3/4 vote. That's around 18 votes. The administration probably has 15 or 16. Okay, you need that kind of consensus to pass significant amendments to the Constitution. Do they have the numbers in the House? You need 221 out of 302. They have more than that. And now their votes are consolidating in one party, the NUP. And that NUP party is a very strong advocate of charter change. So, the context is, you asked the question, is it possible, do you think now? I think it's very possible now. And what
we do know that a lot of politicians thrive on the opaqueness of campaign financing here. No, I mean, we're talking billions here, hundreds of millions.
Not only that, even the private sector, the big business might not be supportive of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And in fact, the first major drawback of this proposal when it was presented to some members of the House was, number one, you have the Deputy Speaker Pimentel saying that this is idiotic, no? This campaign finance. So I'm sure it's going to be shut down. I'm also very sure that the political dynasty provision will be shut down, but it doesn't mean...
I think two of the most difficult, the political it's self-interest that's being affected.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if you can have one win as far as political parties are concerned, no, that's okay. For reformers like us, or like particularly Ed, who's been with this movement for some time now, but you can't win it all. But if you can put in these small, steps, initial steps towards improvement, it's a big thing. So I think they're putting it together as to make this whole initiative look more progressive.
Or just to start the discussion, right? Yeah. Because if there's greater public awareness, siguro people can pressure their politicians.
Actually, yun lang hirap baguhin tong constitution ito is already enough reason for you to actually review and amend it. No? Because, you know, the argument that it should be a very short constitution applies only to those countries that actually comply with the so-called Westphalian Doctrine. Hindi tayo ganun. Post-colonial state tayo eh. O, tapos sasabihin mo, dapat matagal yung constitution mo. Look at how many times many of the different constitutions around the world have been amended. So, it's really designed to fail. I'm sorry, but you have very good principles there. We retain the principles. Why not? No? Like, look at social justice provisions in the 87 Constitution. Which one of these social justice provisions actually have been adequately implemented? Wala. Labor lang problema mo na eh.